Welkom terug. Dr. Chris van Straten van International SOS kerk vanoggend by ons om oor die onlangse Aappokke-uitbraak te gesels. Ons te vertel presies wat ons kan verwag in Suid-Afrika en of hier dalk 'n uitbraak hier ook kan wees. Welkom Dr. Chris. It's nice having you here.
Baie dankie and really good to be here.
Lovely. Let's start at the basics. Where does monkeypox occur?
Right, so monkeypox historically dates back to about 1950. It's not a common disease. It's mostly been in parts of West Africa, in the Congo, because we think it actually mostly lives, they call it monkeypox, but it actually mostly is probably found in rodents and in small animals in the jungle. So it's a bit like the bushmeat thing. Think of Ebola, né?
Yeah.
So Ebola, I'm really scared of Ebola, right? Remember those cases we had a couple of years back? Because there you had Ebola in a wild animal, you catch it and you eat it, but you don't cook it properly. Now you get Ebola, and Ebola, by the way, super infectious and kills you really quickly and nastily.
Oh, wow.
So what's probably happened is that transmission, it went from being someone in probably west coast of Africa somewhere, eats some bushmeat, doesn't prepare it properly, gets this thing and now travels before the pocketjies break out, meets other people. We think this person went to a rave because there were these big rave parties happening in parts of Spain and in Holland. Meets a lot of people, close contact with people, because that's how it mostly spreads. So by the way, it's amazing. COVID is super infectious. No?
Ja.
Jy moet net bietjie hoes en dan het jou cameraman en die ouens nou al het al COVID opgedoen. Monkeypox, luckily, is not as infectious. You need to have some pretty close contact. It does go into droplets. Nou kyk, ons dokters, alles is so pedantic, dis die regte woord daarvoor. But jy weet, so COVID, klein druppeltjies kan in die lug hang vir ure.
Yes.
And that's why it's, hulle sê vir jou moet jou masker dra. My vrou sit hier buite en sy het my special fancy N95 masker, want ek is bietjie paranoid. En so dis die ding nou, monkeypox, hy kan in die lug, maar dis groot druppels en hy gaan nie ver trek nie. Maar as jy nou skin tot skin en hulle sê nou dis it's a homosexual ding, nee. Mense, monkeypox as jy die letsels het en dis baie soos chickenpox.
Ja, the blisters,
Ja, nou jy's er 'n rave, né? Last time I was a rave, I was 20, so that's
And you
like 25
bump
years
against
ago.
anyone else?
Ja, maar dis close contact, verstaan jy? Jam in jou jaw. Nou gaan jy teen mense vasdruk. Nou gaan hierdie ding optel. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
En dis die interessante ding. So tevore, ja, mense het monkeypox opgedoen. En dis meestal van diere wat hulle in die Weskus van Afrika
Nie reg voorberei het nie.
Ja, hulle het hom gevang of voorberei en dan vat hulle Amerika toe want hulle die ding verkoop as 'n troeteldier.
Well, selling in
Dit was
the
in
trade,
2000.
pet trade.
Ja, hulle het 'n outbreak gehad in Amerika.
Yes.
Want hulle het die diere, they call it as 'n spesiale rot. Hulle
Yes.
dink die ding is nou cute. So hulle vang hom daar in die Wes in die jungles. Hulle het hom Amerika toe gevat en daar verkoop. En dan het mense nou hierdie siekte van die diere opgedoen en jy kry die blisters. Dit in begin bietjie soos chickenpox.
Yes.
Ja.
Maar dan met tyd word daai letsel, nou word hy so witterig, so pas.
Ja.
En dis wanneer die mens super contagious is as hy nou teen hom druk of iets.
Okay,
Ja.
all right. And
Ja,
I mean,
dat is presies hoe I like.
the distribution for that in South Africa, what's the chances of something like that occurring on a bigger scale? Now, let's also keep in mind that we are totally, like you say, we are scared of anything that has a virus or a bacteria in it now. We are COVID traumatized.
Yep.
And everything that's an illness is suddenly life-threatening. What's the chances of that occurring in huge numbers in South Africa?
Okay. So first I'm going to state a caveat, and it's that whole thing when you do any kind of media thing, you say,
Yes.
well, to the best of my knowledge.
Yeah.
Yes.
And by the way, I'm just being very cautious because when we heard of the first cases of COVID in parts of Asia,
Yeah.
We also said,
I was kind of, remember with COVID, there was the first big outbreak. That was way more lethal back in 2009.
yes.
And the thing with that case is it was the people got infected and they died really quickly. So it didn't have chance to spread.
To spread.
Okay.
So this COVID that we've had now, this strain has been quite clever, quite wicked.
Lasts longer.
Because people can be sick, but they're not feeling too sick, so they can spread it. And as you said, remember when I said in the beginning, super infectious in tiny droplets compared to monkeypox,
Yes.
which actually you need a lot of time and mostly contact. Dit kan in druppeltjies,
Ja.
maar dis mostly contact. So ons verwag nie dat groot nommers gaan nou sprei. But this is one of the biggest outbreaks of monkeypox I've ever seen. I'm thinking
wow.
back 20 years, I've been in the business about 20 years. I'm thinking back to medical school when this is what we discussed. By the way, medical school, I got so paranoid. I remember thinking, we do infectious diseases, and I remember going, Griet, I think I'm going to wear a wetsuit or a full body latex
Yeah,
suit.
once you first
Ek wil
notice it.
niks raak nie, want ek gaan nou baie siek raak. So the interesting thing is we don't think, I was talking to a specialist this morning on infectious diseases. He lives in Cape Town. And he thinks, if he's looking at the global numbers, he thinks we're probably peaking about now, and we should probably start dropping off
wow.
with monkeypox.
Oh, okay.
Why? Because it's nie soos COVID nie. COVID, it's amazing. As jy net bietjie hoes
The
en
super
proes,
spreader,
Yes.
yeah.
and it's these fine droplets, and dan gaan jy super spread.
So I guess my question then is, how deadly is monkeypox, to put it bluntly? Because we
Yeah.
know COVID can be, and we've seen the death rates. Is monkeypox the same?
No. Okay, so first off, even though we've known about it since about the 1950s, we don't know a huge amount about it because there's only ever been a handful at a time. So each outbreak every couple of years, whether it's West or Central Africa, or whether it's been the odd case transmitted or picked up in another country, it's always been short, small cases, and most people have recovered just fine. Okay, so think about chickenpox. Most people
Yes.
get chickenpox, they get a fever,
Okay.
they're super uncomfortable, but you get over it. En dalk het jy 'n bietjie van 'n letsel of 'n scar
a scar
afterwards.
oor, ja.
Yeah. But, and this is the same with COVID, so why I'm still worried about COVID. If you're immune compromised, so nou jy het kanker of jy het HIV of you've got some immune system problem, you're taking chemotherapy, dan kan hierdie ding nou 'n bietjie akelig raak, verstaan? So yeah, and we don't want, the same with any infectious agent, we do not want it spreading globally.
Yes.
We also don't, the more it spreads, the more it can mutate.
Okay.
Because mense het my nou gevra, gaan hierdie ding nou mutate soos COVID? Remember COVID in the beginning, no, it gaan nie te bad, but every time it infects somebody,
Yes.
Mutates, yeah.
there's a risk of mutation. This is a DNA virus.
So there's no mutation in monkeypox.
Not yet. And what we've done, what they have done, I was looking at the report this morning, they've looked at the DNA sequence of what these cases, the last 150, and they've compared it to, for example, the outbreak back in the 80s. And they're very minor changes. So it's essentially still the same.
Oh.
En dis goed, my moet so bly.
Yeah.
Because then you know what you're working with, yes.
Ja, jy weet presies waarmee jy werk en ons kan medikasies gebruik. There's antivirals.
Oh,
And the interesting thing, remember pox, the vaccine that was created
Yes.
it's about 80 to 85% effective against monkeypox.
Okay,
Well, that's good news.
So we've got, ons het vaccines and the Americans are already getting it ready,
Yes.
in case,
Yes.
en daar is medikasie vir die wat hoë risiko het. So people with immune suppressed, people on chemotherapy who need that extra protection can and will get it.
So
Yeah.
it needs close contact,
Yes.
mostly. It's not a mutating virus.
Not all viruses mutate, but would be very slow.
Very slow.
So die kans is skraal dat hy net skielik ietsie anders kan doen.
Okay.
And the cases are, expected in South Africa are minimal.
If it follows the historical trajectory, the pattern that it's
Yes.
historically followed, I think the risks are small. But remember, touch wood, things happen. So I would be very surprised if we see a huge spread and change in this virus. We expect it to do this and
Yeah.
then drop off.
Yeah.
It's very different to COVID. Very, very different. COVID is super airborne, super contagious, and spreads like wildfire. So hulle is twee verskillende dinge. Dis die verskil tussen my Land Rover en ek het nie 'n Porsche nie, maar sê nou jou Porsche.
Ja.
En is baie stadig. En my can go anywhere.
Yeah.
En
Yes.
is baie vinnig, maar hy can't do any off-road.
I
So
think this is so important to speak about this because we all read about monkeypox in the news, and
All
all of a
wonder.
sudden you become very uncomfortable because we've all just been through COVID and we're still in COVID,
Yeah.
and now all of a sudden there's something new, and you're going, oh my word, not again.
nie
So-
weer nie asseblief.
That's exactly. So I think it's such an important conversation actually to have.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Dr. Chris, thank you so much for joining us. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. We would like to spend another 10 minutes and chat about
Yeah.
this. But thank you very much for your
Thank you.
insight.
Plesier, stay safe, stay healthy, mask up, handjies was. Cheers.
Of course, dis dan Dr. Chris van Straten van International SOS wat vanoggend by ons gekuier het om te gesels oor aappokke. So, haal nou diep asem en ontspan. Okay, maar haal diep asem met 'n masker op, miskien. Dis sommer net 'n idee. Maar ja, moet nou nie skrik daarvoor nie, wees rasioneel.